Hello and welcome back to Hank USA. I'm Hank. July 1st is almost here, and this year, that date carries real weight. A whole batch of new rules and laws take effect at once. Some hit your wallet and your monthly budget directly. Others touch your family. One even changes how you pay for housing. Most people have no idea any of this is coming. So today, I'll walk you through all of it, one change at a time in plain language. By the end, you'll know what's changing, why it matters, and what to do about it before the summer is out. One quick thing before we start. Please subscribe to Hank USA and turn on the notification bell. Changes like these rarely come with a personal phone call or a letter in your mailbox. The folks subscribed here tend to find out in time to act, often before a deadline hits. So subscribe now and let's get into it. The first change is a big one, and it touches millions of families. If you have adult children or grandchildren still paying off college loans, pay close attention. For about 2 years, roughly 7.5 million Americans have been parked in a student loan repayment program called SAVE, short for Saving on a Valuable Education. While the program was tied up in court, these borrowers didn't have to make payments. That's ending. After a federal court ruled the SAVE plan unlawful, the program is being shut down. Starting July 1st, the companies that handle these loans, the loan servicers, will begin mailing official notices to every borrower still in SAVE. That notice matters because it starts a 90-day clock. Borrowers get 90 days from their notice to pick a new repayment plan. Here's the part to underline. Anyone who doesn't actively choose a new plan by the end of that window, which lands around the end of September for most people, gets moved automatically into a different plan. Usually, that's the standard plan or a new tiered standard plan. The catch with the standard plan is that the monthly payment is based on the size of the loan, not on what you earn. For a lot of low and middle income borrowers, that can mean a payment that's far higher than what they're used to, and a real financial squeeze. There's a new option arriving July 1st to soften this. It's called the Repayment Assistance Plan, or RAP. Under RAP, monthly payments run from 1% to 10% of your adjusted gross income. There's a floor of $10 a month, no matter how low your income is. And after 30 years of qualifying payments, whatever's left is canceled. RAP doesn't offer the $0 payment that made SAVE famous, but it does one thing that helps a lot of people. It wipes out any interest your monthly payment doesn't cover, so your balance can't keep growing while you're enrolled. If you have an adult child or grandchild on SAVE, send them this video today. That 90-day clock starts the moment the servicer's notice arrives. They don't have to wait for the letter, though. They can call their servicer right now and switch to a new plan before the notice even shows up. The worst move is to do nothing, miss the window, and get dropped into an expensive plan they can't afford. One related note for families. There's also a new $65,000 lifetime cap on Parent Plus loans, the federal loans parents take out to help pay for a child's education. If you're planning for college costs, it's worth a fresh look at your strategy before the fall semester. The second change is one a lot of seniors have been waiting on, and the timing is worth understanding. Thanks to a 2022 law, Medicare can now negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs. The first round covered 10 widely used medications, including Eliquis for blood clots, Jardiance and Januvia for diabetes, and Entresto for heart failure. Those negotiated prices took effect in January of 2026. The cuts are significant. A 30-day supply of Eliquis drops from around $521 to $231. Januvia falls from $527 to about $113. For the millions of seniors on Medicare Part D who take these drugs, the negotiated prices are far below the old list prices. Here's where the news gets misreported. A second round of negotiations is already finished. Late in 2025, Medicare announced the prices for the next 15 drugs, and this group includes the big weight loss and diabetes drugs Ozempic, Rybelsus, and Wegovy. The negotiated price for those came in around $274 for a 30-day supply, down from a list price near $959. Those prices take effect in January of 2027. So the second round savings aren't coming this summer, they're already locked in for 2027. What's actually underway right now in 2026 is the third round. Medicare has selected the next group of drugs, and those prices will land in 2028. The program keeps rolling forward year after year. What should you do about it? If you're on a Medicare Part D plan and you take any of the 10 first-round drugs, get familiar with how the savings reach you. When it's time to review your plan options for 2026, check how your specific plan applies the new, lower prices. A simple step: call the number on the back of your Medicare card and ask. Something like, how will my plan apply the new negotiated price for Eliquis for whichever of the drugs you take? A little homework now means you won't miss the savings later. The third change matters if you have kids or grandkids in school, or if you live near one and want to know what's shifting this fall. By July 1st, 2026, every public K-12 school in California has to have a policy in place that either sharply restricts or fully bans student smartphone use during the school day. It comes from a state law, AB 3216, which requires every district to write and enforce these rules before the new school year starts. For parents and grandparents, the practical effect is simple. During school hours, you probably won't be able to reach your child or grandchild by calling or texting their phone. Schools are setting up new emergency contact systems that run through the main office instead. So, a little prep goes a long way. Save the school's direct phone number in your contacts. Find out the exact phone policy for your child's school, since it can vary by district. And ask the school how they'll handle emergency notifications to families now that student phones are off limits during the day. This isn't a federal law. It applies in states like California that pass their own. But it's a growing trend nationwide, and California's July 1st deadline is the biggest rollout of this kind so far. The fourth change is a financial one, and it helps a lot of workers, including seniors working part-time and the adult children and grandchildren who pull overtime. Starting with the 2026 tax year, employers have to report any overtime pay separately on your annual W-2. That matters because it ties into a new tax deduction from a recent tax law. Under it, workers who get overtime for hours past the standard 40 a week can deduct up to $12,500 of that overtime income from their federal taxable income. For a married couple filing jointly, the cap doubles to $25,000. The deduction applies to overtime as defined under the Fair Labor Standards Act, and only to the premium portion, the extra amount you earn above your regular rate for those overtime hours, not the whole paycheck. For the 2025 tax year, employers didn't have to break out overtime separately, so many workers had to figure the deduction from their pay stubs by hand. Starting with 2026, it shows up as its own line on the W-2, which makes it far easier to claim correctly. One more thing worth knowing. This deduction is set to expire after the 2028 tax year. So if you're still working and earn overtime, or your adult children have jobs with regular overtime, this one's worth understanding before year-end tax planning. A few minimum wage increases also take effect July 1st. In Oregon, the standard minimum wage rises to $15.55 an hour. In Washington, D.C., it goes up to $18.40. There are local increases too, in places like Chicago and parts of Nevada and California. If you or a family member works in one of these areas, your paycheck should reflect the higher rate starting July 1st. The fifth and final change affects anyone who rents, which includes a lot of seniors, plus the adult children and grandchildren who might be apartment hunting this summer. If you've ever seen an apartment listed at one price online, then found the real monthly cost was much higher once a pile of mandatory fees got added on, you've run into what regulators call junk fees. Think non-optional charges for trash pickup, mail handling, package delivery, administrative costs, or so-called amenity fees. In late 2025, alongside a major settlement, the head of the Federal Trade Commission directed staff to begin writing a rule aimed squarely at this practice in rental housing. The full rule is still being developed, but the FTC hasn't been sitting still. It's already gone after big property management companies over these tactics. Take Greystar, the country's largest apartment manager. It reached a settlement with the FTC over exactly this kind of pricing deception, agreeing to pay $24 million, with $23 million set aside to refund affected renters. So this isn't theoretical. The FTC has real teeth here. What does that mean for you right now? If you're renting or helping a family member find a place this summer, you already have rights under the FTC's existing authority against deceptive pricing. When you look at a listing, ask for a full, itemized breakdown of every mandatory fee before you agree to anything or pay an application fee. A good question to put to the landlord or property manager: what's the total monthly amount I'll owe, including every mandatory fee on top of the base rent? If they advertise a price that leaves out mandatory charges, and those charges stay hidden until after you've applied or you're about to sign, that's the exact practice the FTC is cracking down on. Document the advertised price with a screenshot and compare it to the real total you're quoted. A broader nationwide rule requiring full price transparency in rental ads is expected to be finalized later this year. Let me pull it all together. Here's what's happening this summer and what to remember. First, if you or someone in your family has federal student loans under the SAVE plan, act now. Don't wait for the servicer's letter, and don't let that 90-day window close without picking a new, affordable plan. Second, if you take any of the 10 first-round Medicare negotiated drugs, get ready for the 2026 plan year so you actually capture the savings. The second-round prices, including Ozempic and Wegovy, are set for 2027, and a third round is underway for 2028. Third, if you have kids or grandkids in public school, especially in California, find out your school's phone policy before fall and set up a clear emergency contact plan. Fourth, if you earn overtime, remember that for the 2026 tax year, it'll be listed separately on your W-2, which makes the new overtime deduction easier to claim. And fifth, if you rent or you're helping someone who does, always ask for the full cost breakdown up front. The FTC is actively going after hidden rental fees, with real settlements behind it. That's the rundown. This has been Hank with Hank USA. If this was useful, do me a favor, subscribe, turn on the bell, and share it with your family and friends before July 1st. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.